You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Prospect Show on TOVI Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. The Prospect Show, as always, is brought to you by Caisse Financial Group, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, and TOVI Hockey. We're doing things a bit differently in this episode tonight. I'm not sure if you guys saw what the guest list was today on our social media pages, where if you do want to find out who will be joining shows like the Prospect Show and all the other shows here on our network, be sure to follow us on our Instagram at ASTV Productions, on our Facebook at ASTV Productions as well, and at our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV. So I released the guest list today. I was supposed to have two people from MCN Sports Advising joining the show, Matt Gorman, the owner, as well as one of their players that they represent in AN Vera, but due to some stuff coming up, unable to have those two on the show tonight. We'll be having them on next week's edition of the show, so stay tuned for that. But I am going to be showing you guys a rerun tonight of an interview. I'll get into that in just a moment here, a bit later on in the show, if you will. But yeah, starting off tonight's show, I'm just going to give you guys a little preview about the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp coming up that ASTV Productions will be covering from May 6th to May 8th in Calgary. There's 274 players on the list. We won't get into all of it tonight, but what I'm going to be doing is just talking about where some of these players are from, as well as what age groups they're in, and maybe some other stuff as well. So without further ado, let's run the intro of tonight's edition of the Prospect Show, a different looking edition of the Prospect Show here on ASTV Productions. Wow! So the Western Canada Hockey Prospects Camp coming up on May 6th to May 8th. And just to tell you guys, I was going to have Matt Gorman on the show of MCN Sports Advising to talk about this tonight with me. But unfortunately, some stuff came up with him and his schedule. He's a very busy man. So we're going to get him on next week to talk about it. We'll most likely have Sean Mullen talking about it as well. In the upcoming months here, or in the upcoming month leading up to the tournament. So basically, the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp. Let's take a look at their website here, and I'll tell you guys what it's all about. So the 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp at the Seven Chiefs Sportsplex. This tournament will be held in Calgary, Alberta, and it's a junior prospects camp from May 6th to 8th. For players born from 2003 all the way up until 2007. So on the website here, you guys can visit it. I'll also link it down in the description of this episode. It's Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp.ca. I found them on their Twitter as well. You can follow them if you have Twitter at Hockey Exposure. That is their handle. But basically what they say on this website, you can also look at this information anytime you guys want. I'll link the website down below, but it's players born from 2003 to 2006. They must have played AA, AAA, or junior to have a chance to play in this camp. Players born from 2007, they have had to play AAA or AA in Saskatchewan if they are from Saskatchewan, because AA is the highest level for 2007 born players at this point, since Saskatchewan doesn't have any AAA leagues for U15 and under. But for goaltenders, they must have played U16 AAA or higher. There's a wait list for goaltenders. There's 4 forward spots open as well, and 6 defense spots. And there's a wait list for 2006 AA players. And a little message here on their website. It says, helping players pursue their dreams. And this is going to be phenomenal. The list that we got here over at ASTV Productions has it listed as 274 players in total. Now, breaking down per position, so for goaltenders, there's 26 goaltenders at this point, all ranging from 2003 to 2007. There's only one 2007-born goaltender on this list, and that is Riley Ziesel out of the CAC U15 AAA team out in the Alberta Elite Hockey League, as I would assume. But yeah, there's 26 goaltenders. In terms of defensemen on the list, there's 89, all ranging from about 2004 to 2007 here. No threes on the list for defensemen at this point, but some good 07s. I mean, I don't know if they're good or not. I got to take a look into the stats, but there's a good amount of 07s on this list here. There actually is an 03, and that is Charles Robertson from the High River Flyers HJHL. Yeah, he's about the only 2003 on the list, but a lot of 07s, a lot of 06s in this D category, 04s as well, and 2005s as well. So varying from a bunch of different age groups there in the defenseman portion of the list. And taking a look at the forwards, well, there is by far the most out of any players for position here, with 170 forwards set to compete in this camp. Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, a lot of 05s, 04s, ranging from 06 to 07 as well. Taking a look, not many 03s here. In terms of the forwards, there's 103 that I'm seeing here on the list, 203s actually, and Nathan Bentham of the Saskatoon Royals Junior B team, as well as taking a look at who this is, Logan Furlong of the Comics Glacier Kings VIJHL team. So those are just a few of the forwards, or two of the forwards there, that will be competing at the the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp here for 2022. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of hockey games in 3 days here for ASTV, starting off on May 6th, ending on May 8th. You can catch it on our network as well. We'll have more details about how you guys can watch it as the month goes along here. But yeah, like I said, just wanted to give you guys an introduction of just what this tournament is really. Not going into the players in depth here, into their stats. I'm going to be taking a look at some players here as the month goes along on the Prospect Show. Of course, like I said, Matt Gorman will be coming on the show next week to talk about some of the players that he feels are notable on this list, and for him, notable meaning players that he recognizes. So he's going to come on and talk about those players next week coming up. And like I said, Sean Mullen, former voice of the Swift Current Broncos in the Western Hockey League. He's a former broadcaster for there. Broadcasted all these Swift Current AAA Innovation Credit Union Wildcats games on the network as well this season. But yeah, I'll have Sean on the show at some point to talk about the prospects on the list that he's taken a look at. Yeah, so stay tuned for that in the upcoming month here, folks, as we continue to headline the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp for 2022 for you guys. And yeah, this will be something that I'll be covering here on the show, the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp for 2022, all throughout the month here, leading up to the tournament. So if you guys want to stay up to date with one of the premier hockey camps, hockey showcases here in Canada, be sure to stick around throughout the month here on the Prospect Show, as we will be featuring Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp coverage here for you guys on the network, just to get you guys up to date with everything that's going on in that tournament and what to expect, and some other great stuff as well. So yeah, like I said many times, stay tuned for that throughout the month. Yeah, should be a lot of fun to cover this in depth, and not just my show, the Prospect Show here, where I'll be covering it. Cody Wall of Off the Wall with Cody on one of my other shows, Coffee with Graeme, will be covering it on his show, talking about some of the players from the Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp. You can also check out On the Ice here on the network, which airs every Tuesday and Thursday night, where Theo Tekulak and Wayne Cozier will be, I'm pretty sure that's how I pronounce his name. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name, but if I didn't pronounce that right, Wayne, I apologize about that. But yeah, Wayne and Theo will be talking about that as well on the ice, as Wayne has a segment called Wayne's World, where they've already dove into that and talked about that. So yeah, all throughout ASTV Productions, you can find premier coverage throughout the next month here on the 2022 Western Canada Exposure Hockey Camp, the 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp. That will be played at the Seven Chiefs Sportsplex in Calgary, Alberta, from May 6th to May 8th, which will be featured here on the network. But yeah, it's enough of that for this week, folks. Stay tuned for the 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp talk next week here on the Prospect Show. But with another year of hockey in the books, almost for all leagues. Leagues are winding down here within the next 2 months for sure, as playoffs will be coming to a close. But got to give a shout out to a guest that's been here on the show before on Coffee with Graeme. Congratulations to him and his team, which they were taking a look at it. They went into this tournament as the Rochester Saints. He played for the BK Selects U14 team last year. He played for their U16 program, I believe, this year, and they went under the name the Rochester Saints. From New York, congratulations to Kristen Humphreys and his team for winning the national championship for the 16U Tier 1, 2022 Youth Tier 1 16U. National champions for that age group, the Rochester Saints. Congratulations to Kristen Humphreys and his teammates. For Kristen Humphreys, him and his team last year fell short of the national championship. But for this season, you can see it here. These are taken off of his Instagram. It is private, I believe, but I took these pictures. Hopefully he doesn't mind. But you can see there, Kristen, after winning the national championship, obviously going over to accept something. Not too sure what, but you could see it here. Him and his teammates celebrating with the plaque in front of them. Medals around their necks, as well as their coaching staff, the rest of the players, along with Kristen. So congratulations to the Rochester Saints for bringing home the 16U Tier 1 championship this year at the 2022 Nationals, put on by Hockey USA. And for Kristen Humphreys, taking a look at him this season, what exactly he was able to do with this team in the regular season. Well, for Kristen Humphreys this year, for the Bishop Kearney Selects, as they played as the Rochester Saints, but 06 product from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, put up 106 points in 54 games played at the 16 AAA level with Bishop Kearney this season. With the 15U team, he put up 34 points in 19 games played, and at the NEPAC 16U event, he put up 15 points in 12 games played. Taking a look at these national championships here, for Kristen Humphreys was a key contributor to his team winning the Nationals, as he led his team in points with 7 points in 6 games played, making him 8th in the tournament for points altogether. Actually, a 4-way tie for 5th most points, along with Humphreys, Logan Rankowski, Matthew Lee, and Jacob Jastrzewski. So congratulations to Kristen on over a point per game tournament, on a national championship, and a huge win to a great season for the 2006 born product out of hockey product, 2006 born hockey product out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And yeah, after the commercial break, folks, I thought with Kristen's team, the season he had with him winning the national championship this year, along with the rest of his teammates on that Rochester Saints team for the Bishop Kearney Selects program. I thought since I won't be having any new interviews for you guys, any new content, I thought last minute, why not in celebration, I guess, for Kristen winning the championship, to take a look back at the interview that I did with him back on June 4th's edition of the Prospect Show. So coming up, it's going to be the rerun of that interview from June 4th. And yeah, I guess this is where I'll also, this will be the last time you guys will be hearing from me in tonight's episode. So the Prospect Show will be coming back to you guys next week at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, which is Winnipeg, Manitoba time. You can catch that edition of the Prospect Show on the network, on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV, or on our website at amateursports.tv or astvproductions.com. Be sure to check out our guest list on our social media platforms, our various social media platforms, on our Instagram at ASTV Productions, on our Facebook at ASTV Productions as well, and on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV. Coming up next week on Monday morning, we'll have Matt Gorman on the show, as well as Ayan Vera of the Okotoks Oilers U15 AAA team. Should be exciting. Hoping to have more guests for next week's episode. Of course, stay tuned for the 2022 Western Canada Hockey Exposure Camp talk coming up on next week's edition of the show, where I will be sitting down with Matt Gorman to talk about that, maybe Sean Mullen as well. But yeah, folks, until then, I've been your host of the Prospect Show, Graeme Forsyth, signing off. You guys are still going to be treated to an interview to end off tonight's episode, but yeah, this is the final part. I'll be speaking live in this episode. So have a wonderful rest of your Monday night, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week as well. Stay safe out there, and if it is warm where you are at, go out and embrace the nice warm weather. And yeah, folks, won't be ending the episode yet, so stay tuned for the conclusion of this episode coming up after this commercial break with an interview with Kristen Humphreys, now a national champion, but I haven't had a chance to speak to him about that yet. So enjoy this interview I did with Kristen Humphreys, now a forward of the U16, the 16U Bishop Kearney Selects team, but last season was a 14U BK Selects forward. So enjoy that interview, everybody. This rerun with Kristen Humphreys coming up on the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. Me now on this edition of the Prospect Show is Kristen Humphreys. Kristen, thank you so much for coming on this Friday night. I know that it's late where you are since you're in the Eastern time zone, so you're an hour later than where I am right now in terms of time. But thank you so much for joining me on the show tonight, man. It's great to have you on. How are you doing? How have you been keeping yourself busy since the hockey season ended for you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. But I've been keeping myself really busy. Been playing a lot of golf lately, which has been kind of relaxing. Been after a long hockey season since it got pushed back a month because of COVID. But we came short in nationals, which definitely sucks. But that we still have another year next year, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's always nice to go out and go on the courses, hit some balls, play some golf. I know that so many hockey players I have here on the show are big golfers. But yeah, it's going to be awesome to get into just what type of run you guys were able to go on this season as a team, which was pretty amazing. You guys made it all the way to the finals in youth nationals. But just in terms of for you, just starting first off with you growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that's where you were born. Just what's it been like growing up in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's a pretty big hockey hub. It's not one of the biggest, but I actually got into hockey because of my neighbor. He started playing hockey, started skating, and whenever I was young, I just watched him and I was like, wow. And I also like the Pens a lot, so I went to a lot of Pens games when I was younger. But it's honestly a great city to live in, so not much to complain about.
Yeah, that's awesome. My sister is a huge Sidney Crosby fan, maybe the biggest fan you'll find out there. And unfortunately, they weren't able to move past the first round this year. They ran into a team and a head coach. I like to call him the Penguin Killer now because it seems like he always takes them out. It's Barry Trotz. But speaking of just you being a huge Penguins fan, did you have a chance to go and see any of the playoff games live this year, or were you just watching from home?
No, I was watching from our dorms. I was still at school finishing my final exams, so definitely a bummer. But
Yeah. What are you gonna do? There's always next season, right?
yeah,
But yeah, it would be awesome to see Crosby in that aging core of him, Malkin, Latango on another cup run soon in the future. But yeah, just for you, just your first season playing for Bishop Kearney, the Selects. I'm pretty sure I read that it was the team's inaugural season this year, the program.
yeah, it was our first season this year.
Yeah. So what was that decision like for you to go over to play for this team in their inaugural season when you were playing with the Pittsburgh Penguins Elite 13U team the year before, obviously playing in the 14U AAA league this year. But why make that decision to transition into playing with the Selects this season?
Yeah, so my mom wanted me to go to a boarding school, and she wanted me to mature and be away from home. Um, but it was actually a great transition. Went really smoothly. I met a lot of great guys. This campus was nice. The teachers were nice. The coaches were nice. There's nothing to really complain about.
Yeah, and you got a chance to. I'm assuming you met him, Ryan Callahan, director of player development. Just I'm assuming you had a chance to meet him. Just what was that experience like of meeting a guy like Ryan Callahan?
Yeah, he had a terrific career in the NHL, and he's our skills coach. So definitely being on the ice with him, learning tips from him, definitely will affect how I play in the game.
What were the biggest takeaways you took from just the stuff that Callahan, Mr. Callahan, was able to teach you?
Some takeaways that I have was he actually helped with my passing a lot and helped with my skating stride and making better divots in the ice. So it was actually helpful a lot. And if he wasn't here, I don't know how good my skating could be.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just learning from an ex NHLer, just getting to really craft your skills, become a better skater, as you said, and work on your passing as well. Just talking about the whole coaching staff and in general, just the coaching staff that you guys had, just in terms of how they helped you as a whole develop in your first season as a select.
Yeah, a lot of them had great careers, OHL careers, NCAA careers. Definitely a lot to take away. Even one got drafted in the NHL. But my biggest takeaway with them was they kept pushing me to my full extent, and I couldn't thank them enough for the season that they gave me this year.
Let's talk about the routine. Of course, you said, when the Penguins were playing in their first round matchup, you were still in school doing exams, watching the game in the dorm. Just what was that like this season? Just trying to balance the off ice routine as well as the on ice routine out there.
Yeah, after school we had off ice. We'd have off ice, and then we would have a skills session, and then we would have another skate with our team. But definitely to balance it out, I would stretch a lot before I went in the workout room, because sometimes I would skip stretch and I'd be like, oh, it's fine. But after, I'd get really sore on the ice. So that didn't feel really good. But the biggest takeaway I have on and off the ice is the more effort I put into it, the more I'm going to get out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So you just learned that, like, in terms of just going into practices and stuff, like if you put in that same game effort that you would put in a game, putting it into practice, that would help benefit you going in your play in games and stuff.
Yeah, because some guys just take practice easily, and you can only do what you push yourself to do. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Just talking about just your routine before games this season. I mean, with juggling the off ice, on ice routines. I mean, for you, I'm assuming that pregame routine for you before games stayed the same. What exactly is that pregame routine for you?
yeah, so I'd get to the rink, home games. Like with COVID, it was a little bit different, but home games, I'd get there. I'd like to say 2 hours before the game. I'd sit in my stall, listen to some music, and then go up to tape both of my sticks, and then just sit behind the net and just look at what I'm shooting at, and whatever. And then I always bring a banana too. So after that, I'll be eating a banana and just sitting behind the net.
Yeah, the banana, the classic choice for athletes. It's great. It's great. When I played my competitive minor hockey, I'd always bring a banana to the rink.
Yeah.
Just eat it on the car right there. But just yeah, I think that's awesome that before games you sit behind the net and just visualize. How exactly did that start for you? Just in terms of when you started to really put that into your pregame routine, in terms of just visualizing you going out there and scoring goals.
Yeah, no, because I did it as a joke first off, and next game I had like a hat trick, so I started to put it into my routine, and I actually realized that I like to look what I'm shooting at, so it definitely helps me a lot with visualizing where I'm shooting at in a game time situation.
Yeah, and if it works, it works. And for you, it
Yeah,
worked that day, scoring a hat trick, That's good stuff, good stuff. And yeah, just for you this season, I mean, you scored a goal per game. You played in 49 games. You had 49 goals, 77 assists, 126 points, and 0 penalty minutes. And that's something that's interesting. Just for you being a player that had 0 penalty minutes, just did you find that it was just you having that good discipline out there that allowed you not to put up a goose egg in that stat category?
yeah. I it's actually I had actually a lot of penalty minutes, but they just probably didn't update it on my elite prospects. But no,
Yeah.
I wasn't in the box a lot though. I stayed pretty disciplined throughout the year. Probably single digits still. I wasn't really a penalty guy.
Yeah, and elite prospects screwed me, but it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. Still, you were in single digits, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Still speaks to just how disciplined of a player you are. Just talking about you as a goal scorer, just where would you say you are most effective on the ice when it comes to just putting that puck in the net? Would you say that you're more of that guy that's going to just wind up and snipe it, or more of that guy that's going to go to those hard, dirty areas to get the goal?
No, I'd say most of my goals are within the house. A couple were probably without the house, just good place shots. But whenever pucks go to the net, you just need to get to the net. Most guys, whenever they shoot the puck, they stay away from the house. But you always got to go crash the net after you shoot a puck and get your second chances, because a lot of my first chances won't go in.
Would you say, in terms of that, just you going to those right places, just knowing where to be on the ice positionally, would you say that speaks to just how your IQ is out there, how strong it is?
Yeah, I think my IQ is one of my best parts of my game. My ability to read plays, my ability to be in the right spots in the right time, definitely is a big factor in my game.
Yeah, and I mean, you showed it with your assists this year, 77 assists. I mean, just a big jump in that number from the season before, where you played with the Pittsburgh Penguins Elite 13U team, where you only put up 37 assists. Why, in your opinion, did you find that that number jumped so much this year. Would you say that was just you getting more comfortable as a playmaker out there, that IQ just evolving, or would you say that it also had to do with your teammates as well?
Yeah, I think that our team had a lot more depth than I did at Penn's, and I had a lot more people to work around, and I trusted a lot more people to give the puck to.
Yeah, and I did notice that the top 3 point getters were you on the Penguins last year. You, Jack Edwards, and Jack Rosensteel, and it seems like you guys were a deeper team this year. Did you find that your depth was probably one of the biggest factors in you guys being able to have such a huge run as you did, going all the way to youth nationals and making it to the final?
Yeah, I think it definitely had a big effect. At on my Penn's 13U team, we had 2 lines, and this year we had a solid 3 guys, 3 lines, 3 guys on each line that could play. So it was definitely a big effect on our run. And I think at the start of the year, we started our season like 2-3, and we ended off only losing 3 more games and won the national championship.
Wow. That's nuts. That's crazy. Wow. That's insane. But yeah, just we'll get into that a bit more later. Just talking about just your game without the puck. Just where would you say that you're most effective out there when you don't have the puck, in terms of just terms of any place on the ice?
Yeah, usually I'd like to say whenever I drive the net, but I think most effective is whenever I get outside the house and I create space for myself, and for whenever I'll go around the circle, like go around the tops of the circles and like fake a drop to a guy, and I'll have a lot more room to shoot.
Yeah, and I had a chance to come across 2 videos, 2 little highlight clips of you, I guess 2 little plays. And there was one that was posted on Wthin Hockey. You totally undressed a defender. I wanted to get it up here, but unfortunately it wasn't loading. I want to show everyone all. I'll put that in the link of the description of this episode, of course, for everyone to watch. But there was another one. It was in the national championship game this year against Shattuck. And you came in, you fake the shot, put that puck in the money spot, and once that defender committed, you had an option to either shoot the puck or drag it through your legs, and you did that, creating space for yourself, further protecting that puck, and created a higher scoring chance for you, I guess, rather than the shot getting blocked. But just your ability to create with the puck, just has that always been a big part of your game, or is it something that you've seen develop over the years?
No, I think that it was my hands are definitely my best attribute, but I think my hands were okay. But I truly think that I put so much work in the off season in my hands that it's improved my game so much.
Yeah. And I gotta say, like, probably, like you said, just getting to improve your skating with Ryan Callahan, adding that to the set of hands you had, you felt that made you an even more dangerous player out there.
Yeah, and obviously doing skating lessons with one of the RMU coaches at home definitely helps me a lot too.
Well, we're going to go into our first commercial break in tonight's episode. I've been joined by number 24 of the Bishop Kearney Selects 14U AAA team, Christian Humphreys, on this edition of the Prospect Show. We'll be right back with him to continue talking about his season with the Selects here on this edition of the show. But first, we're going to go to our first commercial break here on this edition of the Prospect Show. Stick with us.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Back on this edition of the Prospect Show with Christian Humphreys, number 24 of the Bishop Kearney Selects 14U AAA team. Of course, that team went all the way to the national championship in youth nationals this season, but ended up falling short, losing to Shattuck St. Mary's, their 14U AAA team. And yeah, just an update for our viewers. If you guys missed the end of the Jets game, I wasn't able to watch the end, but I got the update on my phone, and yeah, we're down 2-0 in the series now. Unfortunately, it's not what you like to see at this point. After sweeping the Edmonton Oilers, now we're down 2-0. But that's besides the fact. Welcome back to this edition of the show. We're going to continue talking about the 2020-2021 season here with Kristen. It's just you guys go all the way to youth nationals this season. I mean, you guys end up going all the way to the finals. You put up a stellar season, to say the least. I think even more than stellar with the points you put up. But yeah, just speak about what that road was like to qualifying for nationals first off.
Yeah, so we had to go through our state, which is New York State, and we weren't nervous going into it, but New York State told us that they're not giving out bids this year because we were the second ranked team. So that meant if we lost, we wouldn't be able to go to nationals. So like going into that, we were all like, we actually have to win this, and we knew that we had no pressure starting it, and we knew we didn't have any pressure after they told us that. We just had to go out and do our job. But it was definitely a hard run. The championship game, the first 5 games we like swept every team. In the championship game, we outshot the team 71-14, and we only won 3-1. So goalie definitely stood on top of his head, but we ended up winning. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, and you guys went out there, did your thing, and yeah, it resulted in a berth in the youth and nationals. Just to see the team, being able to outshoot a team like that in as big of a game as it is, just the way you guys were playing so dominant coming up, just how nice was that to see that you guys were hitting another level going into youth nationals, coming into competing with the best from around the country.
Yeah, at the start of the year, we were all like, none of us, I don't think any of us minds were on nationals. And like I said, we were 2-3 going into it. And we started to go on a streak, going 155 days without losing. And what can I say? 3 of our losses were to Shattuck, another was to third ranked team, Boston Junior Eagles. But definitely playing a lot of the top teams before nationals definitely prepared us, and we knew what was coming at us.
To be able to have that run in that crazy span of like 155 games of not dropping a game is absolutely insane. I don't think I've heard anything like that before on this show out of any of the guests that I've had on. But just what, like, of course, like you always want to prepare for your best to go out there and play and put out your best product on the ice, but to do that consistently over and over again for 155 days, just how much does that speak of just how this coaching staff would get this team to be prepared for the games?
Yeah. After a couple games, we were like, yeah, we're on a winning streak. And after a couple more games, we're like, wow, we actually have a good streak going. And the coaching staff definitely was there for us. We implemented systems that helped us win, implemented a good power play. I couldn't be prouder enough being on that streak, but definitely sucks that it snapped.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But yeah, just in terms of course, the coaches, it's a big part of their job getting you guys prepared to play. But for players, just taking it into your own hands and just putting that product out there of just how good you guys were. Just how did that streak speak to just the preparation that not only you but all the players had coming into games?
Yeah, all of us were all focused. All of us were listening to music, get a good warm up, and I'd like from our 13U team, my 13U team at Penn, to our 14U team, by warm ups, by getting to the games on times. There was a big difference, and I really knew we had something special.
You guys finished 3-0 in pool play in the youth nationals. You guys were able to make it all the way to the finals, of course. Just starting off strong with a 9-2 win over Team Maryland, going up against the Minuteman Flames and Chicago Mission. You beat Maryland 9-2 to start off. You beat the Flames 5-0, and you beat Chicago Mission 5-3. Just going into that tournament with a lot of pressure, just with how you guys were able to handle it and the qualifying stages before, just did you feel like knowing that you could handle the pressure before coming into the tournament was a big reason why you guys were able to get off to the start you were able to in youth nationals?
Yeah, obviously. We crossed with Shaq's division, and of course they were the best team in the tournament. And if we were the number 2 seed, we would cross with them in the quarterfinals. So with coming out with a lot of pressure, we knew that we had to play our best game, and one mistake could cost us the tournament in pool play. So I think that definitely helped us throughout the tournament.
You finished the tourney with 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points in 6 games played. You were 5th in the tournament in points, tied 4th in goals. Just for you to come out and perform that consistently, game in, game out in the biggest stage in your career up until this point, just how nice was that to see for you that everything you were working on up until that point to get there really translated and came out in that tournament?
Yeah, definitely happy with my performance, but it still sucks that I couldn't do enough to win us a national championship. But at the same time, I couldn't be prouder than myself.
Did you find that you saw parts in your game elevate at times in that tournament to be able to have that type of stat line that you did?
Yeah, in playoffs, I thought I was playing my best hockey, and I was giving us a chance to win all the games that we were playing.
Yeah, and you guys end up beating the St. Louis Blues team 6-2 in that quarterfinal matchup. You match up with the Boston Junior Eagles, like you said, that was one of the teams that gave you guys a bit of trouble in before the tournament. But just to be able to go out in that semifinal matchup with a lot on the line, a championship berth on the line, winning that game 4-3 in a shootout. Just take me through that experience of having to go through all the emotions, the ups and downs before that, and just being able to win that in a shootout.
Yeah, so at the start of the year before when we played them, we lost both games, 4-3 in overtime. Then we lost 6-1 to them, and so we played them in Pittsburgh championship before, and we beat them. So a lot of people were favoring them throughout the game, and a lot of us just wanted to prove them wrong and come home to national championship berth.
Just what was that like? I'm assuming that you got to go in the shootout. What was that like for you to be able to go out there and to perform in the shootout?
Yeah, I went second on our team, and the other team went first. So all the first 3 shooters missed, and so it was the best of 5, and I was the 4th shooter, and we scored. So it definitely gave our team a lot of confidence going into the next round.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you guys did fall short. 7-2 loss to Shattuck, but I mean that Shattuck St. Mary's team, man. Let me tell you, just stacked. I've had a chance to talk to Cole Eiserman and Macklin Celebrini here in the show, and just the types of seasons that they put up, along with guys like Brandon, with Zemer, and a guy like Aiden Park. It's just they had a lot of lethal scoring power for sure. That's no doubt about it. But just being able to have that experience of going up against a team like that in the finals, I'm sure that there's a lot of takeaways that you were able to take away from that experience, even though you did end up losing the game.
Yeah, so just being on the players with being on the ice with some of those players is just incredible. Seeing how they play, seeing what they do in different situations is fun to watch, and definitely playing for national championship against them might be a little bit nerve-wracking, but it's really fun at the same time.
How are the crowds out there? Were you guys able to have any fans out there during the youth nationals?
Yeah, I'd say for the semifinals, in the shootout, we had 400, 500 people, and I'd say in the national championship there's about roughly the same amount.
Wow, that's pretty good. Pretty good, especially in times like this. What was that like, being able to go out and perform in front of a crowd like that in those big moments?
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit nerve-wracking, but after a couple shifts on ice, it settles down.
Yeah, no doubt about it. For sure, for sure. Gotta always get settled in, settle into the game, and then those nerves go away once you're able to settle in. But just your team went through. Had a successful season, to say the least, even though you guys ended up losing the final game of the year. Just what was it like being able to bond with all the players that you had a chance to play with this season on your team?
Yeah, definitely living in a dorm with a couple of them definitely helps a lot too. And just being around with a group of buddies, living in a dorm with no parents, definitely helps us bond a lot better as a team. But I couldn't be prouder, and they're all like brothers to me. So
For you, after the season ended, you had some time to kind of have that loss digest. Just what do you think were the biggest takeaways that you saw in your game this year, in terms of stuff that you did good, stuff that you did bad, not as good, that you're looking to improve on heading forward into your career and into your I guess your next season, next year with the Selects?
yeah, I still think that I keep working on my skating, but I think there's still another level that I can bring it to. And I think that also another level I can bring to is my hands are really good right now, but I want to see what I can keep adding to it.
For you, just your parents wanted you to go to a boarding school and for you to mature, right? And you had a chance to do this year, being able to live in a dorm, being able to, bond with teammates, just, being a leader on this team. How, at the end of the season, at this point now, how much can you speak about your maturity and where it's at compared to where it was at from a year ago?
Yeah, I've matured a lot being away from my family, being away from a lot of friends at home, uh, and definitely from my 13-year year to my 14-year year, I definitely flipped a switch on focusing a lot more on hockey, working out a lot more in the summer, and just training a lot harder.
Well, we'll get into some of those training things that you do, the stuff that you do for your training, and a whole lot of other stuff here in this edition of the Prospect Show. This is the first interview that we're doing in tonight's edition of the Prospect Show. I've been joined by Christian Humphreys, number 24 of the Bishop Kearney Selects 14U team, here on this edition of the Prospect Show. I'll be right back with him in just a moment, but first, another commercial for you guys to watch. Stick with us. Welcome back to this edition of the Prospect Show. While I wait for Kristen to hop back on, I'm just going to add him in here in just a moment. Of course, we are live tonight, so for anyone that is tuning in, we thank you for tuning in tonight. And yeah, be sure to give us a follow on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, as well as subscribe to our YouTube, Amateur Sports TV, and you'll be able to check out all the great content we have here on the network. Not only this show, which is the Prospect Show, but other shows like Coffee with Graeme, which is my other show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, which is my other show, and there's a lot of other great shows on the network besides mine. So yeah, give them a chance, check them out here on ASTV Productions on Facebook and on our YouTube at Amateur Sports TV. But here he is now, Christian Humphreys, joining me on this third segment, I guess we'll call it that, on tonight's episode and this first interview. Of course, I've been just talking to Kristen about just a bit about growing up in Pittsburgh. We'll get into more of that as the show goes along. We've been diving in heavy to just his time playing with the Bishop Kearney Selects 14U team this year, getting to play on that team in their inaugural season, and just how much just being able to do what you guys did in an inaugural season with a program that's just starting up. Just how positive and just confident are you to see how this program is going to grow for you guys next year?
Yeah, I think that making a big run nationals definitely helped it out. And definitely a lot more kids are going to want to come in after hearing what we did this year. But just putting on that jersey every day definitely is a special moment for me, and definitely a special moment for all the players on our team.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And yeah, we're gonna step away from that and just dive into your time playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins Elite 13 U team. Of course, you had a chance to play on them in 2019, 2020. uh just being able to play for that team, your favorite team being the Pittsburgh Penguins in the NHL, with you growing up in Pittsburgh and being born from there. How is that like, just being able to wear some sort of penguin on the jersey?
Yeah, definitely being a hometown kid too, and loving the Pens. Definitely was an honor for me to play at the NHL practice facility, and being around a lot of the guys that work with the Pens all the time, and just being in the gym with the guys. Definitely, and having that nice of a facility in general, it was definitely awesome.
You put up a heck of a season, man, last year. Elite prospects. Hopefully they got the stats right, but I'm just gonna say the goals, assists, and the points here. You had 45 games played, 57 goals, 37 assists, 94 points. I mean, just an incredible season in your first year in that league. Just what was that like for you, being able to put up that production in that first season of playing at that level?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't really keep track of my points, so I didn't know like how much I was at or how much I was going for. But just definitely putting up that many points is over 2 points per game is definitely ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think you have a right to say it's ridiculous, because you're the man who did it. You're the man who did it, right? Yeah, that's crazy. That's nuts. And you ended up leading the league from what I saw in points, from just where Elite Prospects took me to when I checked out the total points of just everyone in the league. You led the league in points by 10 from the next guy. So just to be able to have that type of an impact, would you say that it had to do with just that top line you were playing on, or just the type of player you were at that point last season?
It's the line I was playing on and the type of player I was. Whenever I would have the puck, my release was really good, and whenever I didn't have the puck, I'd find open space to get the puck.
Being able to play with guys like Jack Edwards and Jack Rosensteel, just what did that do for your development as a player?
Yeah, it definitely helped me out a lot. They're two solid players and great people, and I loved being around them whenever I was in Pittsburgh. But they're both still incredible players.
For you, like you talked about how like Ryan Callahan this year helped your skating and your passing. I mean, for you last year with the Penguins, you were more of that goal scorer. Not saying you weren't a goal scorer this year, but you had more goals than points in that season before, right before playing with Bishop Kearney. Just for you to be able to put up 57 goals, just where was your shot at in that season, just in terms of just how far along it came at that point in your career?
Yeah, my shot is a lot better right now than it was, but I think that whenever I was at Pens, I was getting the puck a lot more, and I was shooting the puck a lot more. And this year, whenever I get the puck, I'd shoot a lot, but I would have a lot more guys open to pass to. And last year, it was like didn't really have many options to pass to. I was just shooting it more.
Do you think that that really allowed you to be able to grow your game more in that season, just being able to hold on to the puck more and to be able to shoot it more?
Yeah, definitely from last season, from being a goal scorer to this season, being a guy that has a lot more assists, definitely having both those attributes is definitely going to help me down the road.
What would you say were some of the things that you struggled a bit with in that first season with the Penguins elite team. Just I know that you probably didn't struggle much, but just some of the things that you found in your game that needed some work back then.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think that my skating was just above average. It wasn't as good as it is now, and still I think there's a lot more improvement for it. But for now, I think that or I know that I've got to where it needs to be.
What was that like for you last year compared to this year? Just with the Penguins, just getting to bond with that group of guys.
Yeah, from last year, making a lot of friends on my Pens team, and from going back to BK, having a lot of friends that still reach out to me on Pens and ask how I'm doing is definitely, it's really cool.
Could you speak about how the coaching staff was in that year playing Penguins?
Yeah, so my head coach was Kevin Mahler right now. He's coaching the U16 Pens Elite, and they also lost in the national. They lost in the national semifinals this year, but he was an incredible coach. He was the best coach by far that I had at Pens in my 5-year career there. But it was an unbelievable season.
Yeah, and just being able to, like you said, working with someone that you think was probably the best coach that you had throughout your time playing there speaks volumes for sure. You know, for sure. Just what would you say were probably the biggest things that he was able to teach you?
He taught me a lot about puck protection and a lot about my edges and playing along the boards.
Yeah, just more not being afraid to go into those dirty areas as much.
Yep.
Nice. How do you guys end up doing last season in terms of just how far you guys made it in whatever tournament you guys were playing in?
We played. We were okay. We went to a couple of quarterfinals. We won a lot of our games that we played. I think we were like 750 wins. So like in every 4 games we win 3 games, but we didn't play a lot of tournaments last year, but in a lot of showcases that we went to, we would go undefeated or we would go like 500. It was never below 500. So we had a pretty good team.
What was that like in your season as younger than you are now, of course? You know, just in that season, being able to go out and play against these players in showcases, just the type of experiences that you learn from the showcases.
Yeah, definitely from a lot of the showcases that I've been to, seeing players like Aiden Park there, Cole Eisman there, definitely seeing from what they were from last year to this year is definitely a big hop. And seeing a lot of those players play is just, it's incredible watching.
Just being able to be that focal point of the team's offense last year. Of course, one of 3 players that did put up most of the points with you, Jack, and Jack, I guess.
Yeah.
You and Jack. Just being able to grow as a player under, you know, the head coach, the coaching staff that you guys had. Just can you speak of the type of development that you saw in your game as that season progressed all the way up until the end last year?
Yeah, at the start of the year, I wasn't as confident as I was at the end of the year, and like the end of last year, I wasn't as confident I was at the start of this year. But I think that my confidence has definitely rose a lot, and I trust myself a lot more as a player to do more things with the puck.
Yeah, and you know, just it allowed you really to grow that confidence and really carry it over and bring it to that BK Selects 14U team this year. So we're gonna move away from just talking about the hockey stuff right now in terms of the teams that you played on. But actually, before we do that, like you said, you had a chance to play with the Pittsburgh Penguins teams that you had a chance to play with for about 5 seasons. Just what was that experience like? Starting out playing in that type of situation, type of program?
Yeah, being there for 5 years, it was definitely like the first couple of years, it was like little kid hockey. So it was like my parents were really involved, even though it was like squirt minor, which I really appreciate them for. But definitely from seeing from squirt minor to squirt major or so on to my last year of Bantam Minor, definitely just the progression that happened there definitely is a big help in my game.
Would you say that there's a favorite memory for you throughout those 5 years of playing with that program, the Pittsburgh Penguins elite programs?
I don't think I have a favorite memory there, but definitely after like games on the weekends, going like all of us having a team party at a couple kids' houses was definitely really fun.
What's it been like for you being able to travel to all the different types of places you've been able to travel to throughout your time of playing hockey with not only the Pittsburgh Penguins elite teams, but as well as just playing for the Bishop Kearney Selects this season?
Yeah, we traveled a lot on a bus together, or we flew to places and going to a lot of places around the country. Definitely was kind of fun. It was pretty fun to do. We were in Chicago, Iowa at one point, Detroit, Texas, Connecticut. It's definitely fun to see a lot of places. And like in the summers, I'll play for Midwest Selects, and we'll go to like Italy, France. We're supposed to go to Czech this year, but it got canceled from COVID. But just getting to travel a lot and seeing a lot of the world with hockey is definitely a big part.
That's nuts. Like France, Italy, just places like that. What was that like for you when you were able to travel to those places to just with that Midwest Selects team to be able to experience the different cultures and just how they play the game out there?
Yeah, it was. It's definitely the rink in Italy and the rink in France was a lot more different from the rinks that we played at playing in America, and just like the food that some of them eat, some of the languages that they speak, some of the things that they do, and some historical, just seeing some history. It's definitely cool.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. And you know what? We're going to actually dive into something, just getting to know you more as a person. Just of course, you grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Of course, you're aspiring to make it to the NHL, I assume one day. And I mean, if you keep up this production, I mean, we could be seeing you there in the league when your time comes. But just for you growing up, was hockey always that sport that you, of course, you gravitated to it, but were there other sports too that you were able to play?
I played. I was one of the best soccer players in my state at the time, and I played baseball and lacrosse too. And I just think playing all those sports helped me with my hockey, my hand-eye coordination. But my dad played at he played on like the Alabama for football, and my pap played at Penn State for football. So my parents were like kind of confused how I got in hockey. So.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's awesome. It's just they can thank you, your neighbor for that for sure. No doubt about it. Yeah, crazy. Just your dad being able to play for Alabama, the Crimson Tide, and then like you said, your your pop is that?
Yeah, my grandfather.
Yeah. Yeah, your grandfather. Yeah. My apologies for absolutely butchering that the way you say it. But yeah, just him being able to play for Penn State, just having a strong background in the whole family of just really, really elite athletes. Just how, in terms of just your dad having those experiences of going through the college process and stuff like that, even though he didn't play, he never played hockey. Just how would you say your dad has helped you in situations and like just keeping your cool and just stuff like that?
Yeah, he's always there for me. Whenever I didn't play on like a boarding school, he would always take me to my games. He's always at every game still. That it might be in Ohio, it might be Detroit, it might be even in Iowa. It could be anywhere, and my dad will be there for every game, and same with my grandfather. So it's definitely great having both of them supporting me.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt about it. And of course, always great to have supportive parents. Of course, with you making the move to play for Bishop Kearney this season, it's great that they're always able to be there to support you for sure, no doubt about it. But yeah, just for you, like you talk about how you like to play a lot of golf. Is there a player that you would say is your favorite to watch out there in golf, or do you even watch golf at all?
No, I watch a lot of golf.
Yeah.
I'd say my favorite player is probably Dustin Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah, DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. World number one, right? He's still number one in the world.
Can't go wrong with DJ.
Never go wrong with DJ, of course. He ended up winning the Masters in November of 2020. So this past November. So that was pretty cool to see. And of course, he's married to Gretzky's daughter, I believe. Yeah, if I got that right. So I mean,
he's living life.
He's living life. He's living life, right? Being able to have a great one there too, being able to know him. But yeah, just in terms of just what some of your favorite hobbies are. Just do you have a favorite hobby, or do you focus more on just kind of sports as hobbies?
No, I don't really have a favorite hobby, but every once in a while I'll hop on the Xbox and play some video games with a couple of the boys. Play some NHL.
Of course. Yeah. NHL 21 or another NHL?
No, 21.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, because I'm doing this right now. I've been gaming a lot of NHL. I'm doing the career mode. Do you dabble in the career mode, or you just kind of go more into just playing with friends?
We play like more of hot. It's like
hot.
Yeah, like World of Chill. We have like our own team. So
that's pretty chill. Always chill to get together with the boys some way virtually and grind some shell. Has there been some late nights of you guys grinding, or you guys do other good hour? Yeah.
It's mostly good hour, but on weekends it gets pushed a little bit.
Yeah. You gotta be able to have that, right? Be able to have those weekends where you're grinding late at night playing the video games for sure. Just in terms of for you growing up in Pittsburgh, of course, like you said that it's a pretty good hockey hub. Just outside of hockey, just is there a favorite place that you have in Pittsburgh in terms of like a restaurant, a place maybe where you do some shopping?
There's a mall that is probably 15 minutes from my house. It's called the South Hills Village, and they got a good Dick's and Target right next to each other. So if I'm going spending, it's going to one of those stores.
Yeah. Are you the type of guy that likes to shop for like sports apparel, or do you look for more of those more of those other clothing brands?
And I forgot to mention that they have Lulu there too, so that's another big one. But it's more clothing brands, some sports apparel, not a lot.
Nice. And I see you're wearing a hoodie in this interview. For this interview, you a big hoodie guy?
Yeah, it's a Lululemon hoodie.
Lululemon, man. I remember one of my coaches always used to wear Lululemon, and we'd always give him a hard time because we're like, Coach, what are you doing? But you know what? Some of the stuff does look nice. I won't lie. But yeah, is there a favorite restaurant you have out there in Pittsburgh?
I'd say Franco's. It's an Italian restaurant. It's really good. Their spaghetti bolognese is really good. So it's always good to go there with family.
Yeah, you're making me kind of hungry. I want to kind of fly out to Pittsburgh right now and try it out. But you know what? Maybe one day, maybe when I'm in town, maybe we could go. If I ever go to Pittsburgh, I don't really see myself going to Pittsburgh anytime soon. But yeah, that's great. That's awesome. And you talked about how in pre-games and stuff, you listen to music. Is music something you find yourself listening to a lot on your downtime?
On my downtime, yeah, I like to listen to a lot of country, a lot of I'd say some Taylor Swift here and there.
T Swift, not too bad. I know of course, again, my sister is a huge fan. Me, not as much, but more of her older stuff I feel was more country for sure. And it seems like everybody I always bring on here is always either a rap fan or a big country fan. Just when did you exactly get in the country? Was that always the type of music you listened to, or did you grow up, before now, listening to some other stuff?
No, I'm in like I'm like 50-50 rap country, but country I listen to most of my rap, but like if I'm in the car or I'm going to like a hockey game or something, but besides that it's mostly country. Florida Georgia line. Can't go wrong with it.
What about in terms of rap? What would you say is your go-to rap artist, or do you have a few that you listen to?
My go-to rap artist I'd say is probably Pop Smoke.
Pop Smoke, yeah. Yeah, rest in peace, Pop Smoke, gone too soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely gets the boys fired up. I've heard some Pop Smoke, not too much, or Pop Smoke. My apologies. Yeah, not too much. I've heard from him, but from what I've heard, he's pretty good. Is there an album that I should keep my eye on and listen to in the near future?
No, there's not really an album that I don't want to say there's a full album that's actually like solid. There's just a couple songs that are really good.
Yeah, that's solid. That's solid. In terms of just for you, in terms of a place that you want to see coming up in your later years here as you grow up. Of course, you've had a chance to travel to many places in hockey. Would you say that there's a place that you haven't traveled to that it's on your bucket list of wanting to see it, or is there a place that you've been to that you want to go back to in the future?
No, I'd say one of the places that I want to see is I'd say Prague. It's a pretty cool uh, European country, and I was definitely bummed that I couldn't go. I was looking forward to it, just not the hockey part, just everything around it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That would be insane going to Prague. Being
Yeah,
able to check out that place. I mean, I feel like it has to be a beautiful place, right? Being out in Europe, everything seems nice out in Europe in terms of just the scenery, the landscape, all that stuff. But yeah, in terms of just, are you a big movie, TV guy, or are you more of a guy that just sits down on the couch and watches sports?
I can watch movies. I watch movies like here and there. I'm not a huge movie guy, but every once in a while I'll turn a couple movies. But I'm mostly a sports guy if I'm watching anything on TV.
Yeah. Is there a certain type of genre when it comes to movies that you like watching the most, or is it like whatever's on Netflix or whatever streaming service
Yeah,
you'll use?
just whatever's on. That's what I go for. Don't really have a certain genre.
Yeah. Is there a movie you've seen and been like, man, this movie is probably my favorite?
It's a show, but Outer Banks probably. They're coming out with Outer Banks too. So whenever that comes out, that'll probably be the next time I watch my next show.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard a lot of Outer Banks. I gotta give that one a try for sure. I am a pretty big TV guy. I want to watch as many shows as I can, and yeah, Outer Banks might be the next one I gotta watch. But I gotta finish Better Call Saul first. That's one thing I gotta do. But yeah, for you, in terms of just your biggest goal in your hockey career at this point, what would you say that is?
I'd say my biggest goal for the next upcoming years national program, and then I want to try to go to college and then go from there to the NHL.
Yeah, seems pretty. Well, it seems like it would be a great plan. Seems like it would be, and I think you have the potential to do that. Obviously, with your skill set. Is there a player in the NHL that you would say you model your game after, or are you the type of player that kind of tries to be their own player?
No, I'd say I model my game after really well John Tavares. Um, he's not a unbelievable skater, but his hands are really solid and his hockey IQ is off the charts.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Also a great two-way player, and prayers up to John Tavares. I know that he's doing better. Just the incident that happened was absolutely scary, but good thing. I'm happy that he's okay. Obviously, just you never want to see something like that, and just as it was a freak accident. And it's just one of those things that unfortunately happens in sports sometimes. But glad he seems like he's doing better and better every day. Just last question before I let you go. in terms of you as a hockey player, like we've talked about just different skill sets in your game, like your shot, your passing, your IQ, your skating. Just for you, how would you say that you would describe yourself as a player for everyone watching out there?
I want to say if I describe myself as a player, I want to say that my hands and my offensive power is definitely a threat, but just not off that. I'm a two-way player, and defense is just as important as offense.
Yeah, and you felt during this time playing for the Selects this year, your defensive game took another huge step.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I wouldn't back check. My coaches would get on me if I wasn't in a certain spot. In the D zone, my coaches would tell me, and even in practice, we would just work on D zone, D zone, D zone. So that definitely helped a lot too.
Well, that's great, Chris. And then actually, one more question before I let you go. Who would you say your favorite NHL player is?
My favorite NHL player is I'd say definitely Nathan MacKinnon.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Nathan MacKinnon is having an outstanding playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going absolutely insane right now. I heard on TSN today, the sports network. That's the Canadian version of ESPN here. I guess you could call it that. That's what you would compare it to from Canadian to US stations. But they said that at this point, like he's the heavy favorite to win the Conn Smythe this year in the NHL, which is like the playoff MVP. And no doubt about it, if that team goes all the way, I think Nathan MacKinnon, no doubt, 100% gets that award for sure.
100% agreed.
Yeah. Why would you say Nate is your favorite player out there?
His IQ is off the charts. His speed is ridiculous. Just like the goal he scored against the Vegas, he made the D look like he didn't know how to skate.
Yeah.
But he's just a fun player to watch and a fun player to roll my game after.
Yeah, for sure. He's got the speed, the shot, the power. I mean, the defensive game, he's got the whole package. And yeah, it's like watching someone play like that goal he scored against Vegas in game 1. It was like watching someone play NHL 21 on rookie mode.
Yeah.
It's just
exactly like it.
To be able to do that against the best players in the world, against a team that they only got the President's Trophy, I believe, based off of tiebreak. And to be able to do that to world-class defensemen, it's just, wow, crazy. But yeah, Christian Humphreys, forward centerman of the Bishop Kearney Selects 14U AAA team, joined me as the first guest in tonight's edition of the Prospect Show. I want to thank you for coming on tonight, Christian. It was awesome getting to talk to you, man. Just getting to talk about your years with the Penguins organization, their elite program, as well as your year with Bishop Kearney. And hopefully down the line, if something comes up next season and you're tearing it up, we'll have you on the show again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Christian. That was Christian Humphreys. I'm going to let Christian go now, but first we're going to go to another commercial break here in tonight's episode. I'll be right back to introduce the next guest in tonight's show here on ASTV Productions. But first, another word from one of our sponsors here on ASTV.